What do you get when you cross a chicken with a chainsaw? I have no idea, but if you take the initiative to cross an RTS with another RTS, you'll end up with this RTS, Homeworld, Deserts of Kharak by Blackbird Interactive and published by Gearbox. I did not see this game coming, but here we are. It's supposed to be a prequel to the original Homeworld game, and it's based on the ground. Let's take a look. The whole campaign is very generic, linear, and easy, even on the hardest difficulty, but it's very playable. The most important part of an RTS is the user interface, and it works flawlessly in this game. Since they moved the game onto a flat playing field, the controls are pretty much the same as any other RTS, so if you've played other RTS games, you can learn this game very easily. You just have to learn the unit counters, the tech tree, and how the aircraft in the game works. The pre-rendered cutscenes can be skipped, but you have to watch the in-game cutscenes. That's kind of annoying, but the in-game cutscenes aren't too long. If you go into the skirmishes, the one thing you'll notice after your first game is that it's either too easy or too hard. The hard AI is a dirty little cheater that gets resources served to it on a silver platter. The production skyrockets immediately and completely overwhelms you with forces that nobody could have possibly made in the first few minutes. Turn down the difficulty to normal, they become ridiculously easy and they don't really do anything. There's no middle ground. I'd imagine playing against someone would be much better, but I've been having trouble getting any multiplayer games going. There's just too few people playing. Then there's the fact that you have these really tiny maps available and too few maps to choose from. This feels like a very single-player centric game. The Homeworld games had the unique feature of positioning your units around in 3D space and having massive ship battles in real time, but then they turn it into a game that uses the same flat RTS playing field as pretty much every other RTS on the market. What makes this game stand out? Well, it has Homeworld in its name, and that's pretty much it. Now we move on to the analysis. For the first few weeks, forget about it. The game is already dead. According to Steam Spy, only around 50,000 people have bought this game. Yeah, 50,000 people, despite the good reviews and the marketing the game had. That's why there's such a low player population. The vast majority of the players are only in it for the single player, and to make matters worse, there seems to be complaints on the Steam forums with region locking. I'm basing this completely off of what people are reporting, but if I'm understanding this correctly, you're only allowed to play with people in your own country. It has something to do with the Steam API, but that explains why it's hard to get a game going. But that seems like a huge mistake to be making here. Lower player base overall and a segregated player base. That's a recipe for disaster. The developer did make a post on Reddit about their upcoming patches, and they do acknowledge the problems with the AI and the lack of content. So the developer support is there and we'll see things improve over time, except they made no mention of the region locking issue. With the player base so low, will it even matter? I think not. In a few months, I would expect an announcement of an expansion or DLC. I highly doubt the player base will greatly increase over time in the next few months, so if you want to play multiplayer, you would have to play now, but again, I've had trouble getting any games going. The AI should be fixed by this time since they're prioritizing it, and some new maps should be out, so perhaps we can have a good skirmish at least. But the future of this game doesn't look too bright. Everything the developer is doing to improve it right now seems like it'll end up being too little too late. Deserts of Kharak is an okay game in its own right, and mechanically speaking, everything seems to be working perfectly, but when it comes to innovation, the really cool distinct features, and the wow factor, everything just feels flat. It feels like one of those games I've played over a decade ago, games like Homeworld, which I enjoyed for a few hours before going back to playing Warcraft 3. There's just so little content to keep you entertained, but the little content it does have will entertain you. I enjoyed this game. For a few hours, but I enjoyed it. They really need to sell more copies to improve multiplayer, and at a $50 price tag, it's a hard pill to swallow for what you get. We'll follow up on this game in a few months to see what happens. Thanks for watching!